recorded live in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Trivial Warfare. More than just a pub quiz, Trivial Warfare is your gateway to a worldwide trivia community. Join your hosts, Jonathan.
We just described Ric Flair as Neanderthal Man and Planet of the Apes.
Chris.
Yo, we going down to Sesame Street.
That's your impression of hardcore rap?
Carmela.
That would irritate the hell out. I'm like, I just want my groceries. My ice cream is melting.
Ben.
4 halogens in that list. Oh my God.
You were like, it's not the halogens. I'm like, no, Ben, no.
Those damn halogens got me again.
And the rest of the Trivial Warfare Army for another week of fun and games. Now here's your host, Jonathan Oakes.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Trivial Warfare. We are the podcast that takes the pub quiz out of the pub and brings it home to you. My name is Jonathan, and I am here today with Carmela. Hello, Carmela.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to the show. It feels like it's been a while. I don't know why, but it does feel that way.
It has been a little bit. It's been a few shows.
Yeah. But you know what? We had the intermediary. Carmela and I took turns hosting each other on Trivial Warfare Foreplay.
Yeah.
On our sister show Foreplay. Y'all haven't heard them yet, but Carmela is quite a player when it comes to foreplay, y'all. She is good at it.
Season 9 just premiered this past Friday, so you should be hearing them right now. Probably by the time this comes out, you would have heard them. So
absolutely go to your podcast app and search for Foreplay and subscribe. And the first thing you'll hear with this season are Carmela's new episodes. Carmela, we're going to have a great time today.
I hope so.
We have some great people here, so let's introduce them. Michael Thissen is with us today. Michael, did I pronounce your name right?
You did.
Woo,
you did.
Nice. And did you go by
I don't have
Mike
to remind people that Michael's fine, and I don't have to remind people that it rhymes with listen.
Ah, it was spelled so differently, though.
Yep.
It's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I almost feel like the kid who gets called up at the rock, when you're in a rock concert, and I'm the kid in the audience that the rock star calls up to play with them.
So you're telling me that you are Courtney Cox and I am Bruce Springsteen.
Yes. Yes. Or I'm that 11-year-old drummer that got called up the Foo Fighters concert who basically...
She's amazing.
I hope
Nancy.
so, because we're on a team, and if you're that drummer, we're going to kick some ass today. And the people whose asses that we're hoping to kick start with Derek Taylor. Hey, Derek.
Good day, good day.
Welcome to the show, my friend. Great to have you.
Thanks so much for having me back.
Absolutely. Nick Groves is with us today. Hey, Nick.
Hey, how goes?
Doing well, man. Long time no see.
I know, it's been hours.
You know what, though? We are, I'm coming to Washington later this year. I'm coming to your home turf.
Yeah. You and like almost everybody else in the community. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Actually, we're going to have some advertising coming up here with SporkleCon, so I'll give them a shout out because love those guys over there, friends with Mark, and you'll see some Sporkle-based content coming soon from Trivial Warfare, I think, so that'll be pretty great.
Absolutely.
Ricky Bretherick is with us today. Hey, Ricky.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good, my friend. Glad you are here.
Yeah, me too. It's been quite a while that I've been a listener and decided once to go ahead and react to the email and jump on here with you guys.
We saw your name come up, truthfully, and it's from time to time, it's like people who are patrons don't take advantage of responding to the invites and coming on. And so every once in a while, it's like, wait, this person's been a patron for how long? And they haven't come on? Okay, we've got to get them on. You were one of those people, so I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. So I want to get to know everybody a little bit better. We'll start with Michael. Michael, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
Sure, thank you. My name is Mike Thissen. I'm originally from Boulder, Colorado, and I currently live in Evansville, Indiana. I am a consultant with project management. So I'm an independent person who comes in and helps organizations with their specific projects. And something interesting is that my wife is a university professor, and the university spring breaks don't line up with the public schools spring breaks. So I have a tradition where I take my daughter, it's a daddy-daughter week, and we go out and we do experiences. And because of the pandemic, we hadn't had a chance to do that. And since recently we've had spring, that just kind of kept fresh in my mind, where my daughter and I actually went to Chicago for spring break, and we had a ball, and it's kind of a nice way to connect. So that's something interesting that I like to do with my daughter.
That is fantastic. What kind of stuff did you do in Chicago?
We actually did the architecture tour.
Oh, yeah, I've done that.
Went down the Chicago River.
Yeah, yep. That's a cool one.
Yeah, we walked around Navy Pier and we saw that, and we did that. And Lord, we ate. In Chicago, you eat a lot. And one other thing is we went to the symphony, where there was a international chamber orchestra that came, and so my daughter and I did that, and it was just really nice. We went to a couple museums and had a really good time.
That is fantastic. You just reminded me, I just took the family to the symphony here in Jacksonville. They were doing a tribute to John Williams and Steven Spielberg. So they had the music of the movies that they worked together on. And it was really, really wonderful. And at the end, as you're kind of cheering and everything's going great, you're like, I can't believe they didn't play any Indiana Jones. What I didn't know is they do encores at the symphony. Mm-hmm. So literally they come back out and hit you with the Indiana Jones suite right before you leave. And it was epic. It was really, everybody loved it. It was great. Okay. Terrific. So we are glad that you are here. And now I need to ask more about Derek. Derek, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Derek Taylor. I am in Lenexa, Kansas, which is just outside of the Kansas City, Kansas metro area. I am a specialty consulting pharmacist for a national specialty pharmacy, and not too much fun going on with me right now. I am currently trying to cast my own set of Mahjong tiles out of resin, so that should be fun and interesting.
That is really interesting. So how do you have to, are you, I guess engraving, I don't know what the right term would be, but is it a 3D design for the art, or are you just painting it on there or stamping it somehow?
So I have molds that I ordered that to pour the resin in to get the right shape and all the correct symbols on the tiles. And then once I actually get them all cast, and still have to decide what color I want to cast them in, but once I get them all cast, just spend a lot of time painting them to get them to actually look like things you'd want to play with. So.
Oh, that sounds amazing. May I recommend Jade Green as a wonderful color for Mahjong tiles?
Classic. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. Well, Derek, it is great to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Nick Groves. So people know a lot about you already. You've been on the show a bunch as one of our generals. But this is episode 372, which means at this point, unless something terrible has happened, we will have already introduced and shared out the TriviaMatic app with the Trivial Warfare, what would you call it? Trivial Warfare
It's
format.
Yeah, it's a format, and I'm really hoping that at this point it's always fun to record these things in advance of debuting something, because it's one of those like, oh, I hope everybody's having fun with it. Meanwhile, the world's on fire and everybody hates everything, and but yeah, hopefully you've all been enjoying using the TriviaMatic app to play along with all of your favorite episodes of Trivial Warfare, looking at the scoreboard, seeing how you're doing as the game's moving on in comparison to the actual players and to everybody else in the community. Yeah, I'm really excited to get it out there and to get feedback from people and see what they think.
And you have been marvelous. You've been at the forefront of this. You literally are the one who pitched this idea. We've talked about different things, but this has been your baby for a while. So as this is now hopefully live and in practice, a huge thank you to you, because I think it's fabulous.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to contribute and happy to help. I love this show, and honestly, more so than the show itself is the community that you've built around it. So all of the people that are a part of this, it's very weird how I consider all of these people that I've never met more than once or twice in my whole life to be some of my closest friends, and it's really cool. So thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, it's great to have you here as always, Nick. And then last but not least, Ricky, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from the Memphis area, a little small town called Collierville right outside. Well, it used to be small, now it's huge. But just recently, for the first time ever, moved out of the state of Tennessee to, even though I tried to stay in Tennessee because I just have a hatred for Alabama in general. But no, I live in Alabama now in Athens, just below the border. And kind of, you can't really see it behind me, but I live really right across the street from the Tennessee River. So really nice little private, quiet neighborhood that I found here after 2.5 months of looking for a home. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm a single guy with 3 dogs. So I'm a dog dad sitting out on the sun porch with them so they don't make too much noise, as one of them's chasing a fly right now. So
So you're, in my mind, I'm already picturing you as that guy who lives in Alabama but proudly flies the Tennessee flag in his yard just to make sure everybody knows that you're here but you're not from here.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Well, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right, guys, it's time to get started with the games, and we're going to start with Warm It Up, Chris.
It's time to warm it up on Trivial Warfare today. And there's only one person who can warm it up for the TWA, and that's Chris. And sometimes Jonathan.
All right. So what I've got is from Statista.com, the Twitter accounts with the most followers worldwide as of March 2021. So, Nick, let's start with you.
Barack Obama.
Number 129.78 million followers. Michael.
I don't want to say it. How about Rihanna?
Rihanna. She is number 4 with 102.22 million
Nice
followers. Derek.
Don't know why. I seem like I remember that Cristiano Ronaldo has a lot of Twitter followers.
It's because he does. He's number 5 with 91.39 million followers. Ricky.
Let's go with Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande, number 8, 82.3 million followers. All right, we're 4 for 4. Jonathan, can you keep it up?
I'm going to guess at POTUS, President of the United States.
At POTUS is not in the top 10.
Okay.
Nick.
Do deleted accounts count?
I would say none of these in the top 10 are deleted accounts.
All right, then I'm going to go with Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. She is number 6, 88.51 million followers. Michael.
How about Kim Kardashian?
Kim Kardashian is not in the top 10. Derek.
I always see that Dogecoin prices rise and fall on his tweets. How about Elon Musk?
Oh.
Elon Musk, it might be now, but as of March 2021, he was not in the top 10.
Oh, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't paying that much attention.
Ricky.
Let's try. I don't know if anybody said the Biebs himself, Justin Bieber.
Number 2, 114.04 million followers. Jonathan. We still got number 3, number 7, and 9, and 10 on the board.
I've got 2 names left on my list. I'm going to say Beyonce.
Beyonce is not in the top 10.
I'm not good at this.
I was going to say, I have 2 names left too, but neither was Beyonce.
She doesn't really have a Twitter presence. Instagram, yes. Twitter, no. Nick.
So if this is 2021, that would be pre-canceling Ellen.
Ellen is number 9. The Ellen
Wow.
Show, 79.22 million followers. I think this will be the last go around because I think we only got 2 left on the board. So, Michael.
How about Joe Biden?
Joe Biden is not in the top 10. Derek.
I'm going to try going back to the Kardashian well, but I'm gonna go the Kylie Jenner route.
Kylie Jenner is not in the top 10. And I misspoke. We actually have 3 left on the board. Ricky.
I'm going to stick with my music people and go with Blake Shelton because of his fame on the Voice. Thank you.
That's a pretty good guess. He is not in the top 10, but it wouldn't have shocked me if he was in the top 10 because The Voice is huge. Jonathan, can you round us out?
Well, I haven't gotten one right yet. I'm sure I'm not going to start now, but I'll guess one athlete and say Neymar.
Neymar is not in the top 10.
Of course he isn't.
So let's go through the list and fill in the blanks. So you got number 1, Barack Obama. Number 2, Justin Bieber. Number 3, with 109.52 million followers, is Katy Perry.
As I was thinking about that, I was like, there's no way Katy Perry is still in the top 10.
Still is.
That was the other name on my list with Ellen.
We got Rihanna, number 4, Cristiano Ronaldo, number 5, Taylor Swift, number 6, number 7, 83.98 million followers, Lady Gaga. Number 8, Ariana Grande, number 9, Ellen, and number 10, not a celebrity, but it is another social media platform, YouTube, 73.02 million followers.
Interesting.
Why do you think it is that the list that the people that are most followed on Twitter are musicians? Because there's lots of other famous people out there. Musicians aren't the most famous people in the world. So why does Twitter skew to them?
I would say, just based on what I follow musicians for, that's how you get information on single drops, album drops, concerts, things like that. That's why I follow musicians. And also there are some musicians that are just funny, and they actually, use their Twitter and engage with their following. Yeah.
I'm just thinking it's so weird because there's got to be people in other fields, whether it's movie stars, athletes, whatever, that are also funny and also interesting and blah, blah, blah. It's weird how it is musicians completely dominating that list.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally separate medium too. It's not like it's an audio medium or something. You'd think that there would be writers or authors or, people that would be good at interacting, with the written word that would be higher on the list.
Like Oprah is not there, or Jimmy Fallon's not up there, or it is just unusual to me. I don't know why, but Carmela, your reason of getting information is obviously one thing.
Yeah,
I know.
That's what I follow up for.
Yeah,
I sometimes liken musicians as poets, and sometimes they're quotable. So sometimes as someone who loves world music and everything, I follow musicians as once or twice they come up with something really cool that drops on Twitter that I think, wow, that's pretty profound. So maybe they're kind of like our modern day poets.
Maybe. So that's warming up, Chris. Thank you, Carmela. Great job. And guys, this is going to be episode number 372. We are on the main feed. Very exciting. I'm going to leave a little space right here to add the code to play along with this game on the TriviaMatic app. The first thing you need to do is download the TriviaMatic app. And then when you hear Carmela with round 1, question 1, you go into TriviaMatic, hit play now, and enter this code for episode 372. Your code is 744060. Once again, TriviaMatic, hit play now. Code is 744060. And I want to say, if you are a fan of Trivial Warfare, which you must be if you're listening to this, and you want more, we have a lot more for you. Or if you want to be a part of that fabulous community that Nick referenced earlier, head over to trivialwarfarearmy.com and sign up as a patron. At the $5 a month level, you get access to a ton, and I mean a ton, of content that you can't hear anywhere else. We hope you will stop by. That's trivialwarfarearmy.com. And today's game is going to be Jonathan and Michael versus Nick, Derek, and Ricky. Carmela's hosting, and it's time to play the game.
Players. Oh, yeah. Y'all know what time it is. This is Mr. Literature himself, cordially inviting you to the game. This is 6 rounds of trivia goodness. 3 questions per round. Every right answer gets you 10 points. In the middle, we'll take a pause for the cause and ask a midpoint question worth up to 20 juicy points. After round 6, you can wager any or all those points you've been building up and take a shot at the final round. It's a series of theme-based questions we call the Gauntlet. It's just that easy, baby. But this game ain't gonna play itself, players. Let's get it on.
Oh, yeah.
I got a little bit of Kool-Aid Man out of that one. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I have to admit, sometimes I'm in the car and I hear Ben do that. I'm in that mode where it's like, yeah, talk to me. It's like, oh yeah.
Just respond.
Really getting into it.
That's amazing.
That's funny. All right, your first category in round 1 is obligatory sports question. Getting a no in baseball is a difficult pitching accomplishment. So difficult, in fact, that the last team in the league to do it was what National League team that did it in 2021, 52 years after their franchise debut. So all other teams in the league had done it up to that point. They were the last team to do it.
I'm going to type some team names out for us, Michael, to make this a little bit easier to pick from. It'll help me to do it, too.
Carmela, did you say National League?
I did say National League.
Okay, then never mind.
Wanted to narrow down your teams by half.
Why is this so much harder than it needs to be?
I didn't realize that this was. I actually thought this was pretty okay for a first question.
Okay, we're locked in.
All right, so we went through the National League teams and named almost all of them. I might have missed one here or there, but there are very few of them that are not either really young or really old, right? You have your wave of Rockies, Marlins, and Nationals, and those that are newer, Diamondbacks, and you have your old ones, your Giants and your Dodgers, Cubs, Braves, Phillies. The Mets came into the league in 69, so it's not the Mets, which really left us with only 2 teams that we weren't like feeling confident were a different age, and that was the Padres and the Brewers. And when it comes right down to it, it feels most like the Padres would be the better answer. So we ended up locking in with the Padres.
Okay.
So the one piece that really got me resonating with the Padres is I collect baseball cards back when I was a kid, and the 1972 Top Set had baseball players dressed in Padres uniforms, but it had the Washington Senators as the pieces under below, which really kind of resonated. And so I immediately went to Padres, and then through our chat with Jonathan, it just got me even more warm to it. So.
Mm-hmm. So we said Padres.
All right, Nick, Derek, and Ricky.
All right. So our conversation went in an entirely different direction because I am a baseball guy. So I just tried to start listing all of the no-hitters from the 2021 season because there was a ton of them. At least historically speaking. I think there was 8 or 9 or 10 no-hitters last year, which was incredible. And I just started naming guys that I remember throwing no-hitters. I'm like, was it Corey Kluber? Was it I remembered that the Atlanta Braves had one where like 3 or 4 relief pitchers got together for a no-hitter. So we were thinking maybe Atlanta. We thought maybe that would be a little bit that team would be too old for this. And then I remembered that way in the beginning of the season, the other problem with Atlanta as an answer is that Atlanta is known for its pitching. I don't, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, all of the all-star Hall of Fame pitchers that Atlanta has had. There is no way that their first ever no-hitter was in 2021.
They had a relief pitcher no-hitter in the 90s.
Yeah.
There was 5 pitchers combined for one in the 90s.
They did that last year in 2021.
Yeah.
They had like 3 or 4 guys get together. So we were initially leaning towards Atlanta and then went, wait a minute, no, that's terrible. And then I remembered that towards the beginning of the season, the Padres had one, and that just seemed like a perfect fit for a team that's never had any pitching, that just had their first no-hitter. It was a huge deal because it was right close to opening day, if I'm remembering correctly. So we ended up locking in with the Padres.
Jonathan, I was going to say you kind of scared me a little bit when you said 1969 because if my mouth is right, the team should have been founded in 1969. So the Mets maybe.
I had 1971 if it was 30. Oh, you said 32 years.
I said 52 years.
52. Oh, God, I completely missed the 52. I had it at 71. We were looking for the wrong date, Michael. We would have considered the Mets a lot more seriously if we'd have been right on their date. Good God.
Well, we had a bit of a cushion because I'm 52, and so I kind of want to make myself a little bit younger. But I also know that the Mets were founded in '67 to play, I think, in '69 because they won the '69 series, and I think Nolan Ryan was drafted in '67 for the Mets.
Oh, okay. My bad. My memory is way wrong on all of this now.
All right, so let's get to the right answer. Victor Caratini was behind the plate. He is actually the first catcher to catch 2 consecutive no-nos for different clubs, because the last one he had done was with the Cubs the year before. But he did it with Joe Musgrove at the mound for the San Diego Padres.
Yes.
All right.
God, thank God we got that right, considering it took us an hour to discuss
I mean, I got to be honest. At this pace, we're going to be eating dinner together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your next category, what's in a name? What Grammy-winning American rock band, formed in the mid-90s, got its name from reports by Allied Forces pilots regarding UFOs and other unexplained aerial phenomena in World War II?
I feel 80-90% sure of that, Michael. You good? All right. You want to lock in? All right. We're going to lock in.
All right.
A band that I'm pretty sure formed in the mid-90s, whose name I've heard in the news recently because of one of their members was Foo Fighters. So that kind of is where I lean to. I'm not sure if that fits in with the rest of the clue, but I know they're a rock band that has won Grammys.
They have won Grammys. They were formed in the mid-90s, and Foo Fighters sounds exactly like what Carmela described.
Mm-hmm.
Unexplained aerial phenomena during World War II. Those are Foo Fighters. I think we're good to go.
Sounds good.
All right. Jonathan and Michael.
Yeah, that was instantly UFO. Almost sounds like FU, Foo. So everything fit. We said Foo Fighters.
Yeah, it is the Foo Fighters. It was Dave Grohl got out of a book that he was reading about, unexplained phenomena and UFO sightings during World War II, and they had called them Foo Fighters. So that's what he named his new project.
There aren't too many Grammy-winning rock bands that were founded in the mid-90s either.
True.
Rock and roll in and of itself is kind of a dying art.
They won 3 Grammys this past Grammys, so that puts them just underneath U2 for the most Grammy-winning rock band. U2's got like 22, and Foo Fighters have 15 now. So
that's nuts.
Yep. And they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They got it in their first year of eligibility. Your last question in the round is brought to us by Rob Warman.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Your category is Oddities in Nature. Every June since 1991, Australian whale watchers have been thrilled to catch sight of a particular humpback whale named Migaloo, and that's Migaloo, who is noteworthy and easily identified because of what highly unusual characteristic?
All right, we're locked in.
Okay.
All right, Michael, so we can talk out loud. What was your suggestion there?
Yeah, I suggested possibly that this particular creature was albino.
Something in my head was like, I think he's like a light pink color. That was the first thing that came to my mind. And when you said albino, I was like, that kind of fits with what my imagination would be telling me, but I don't really have any knowledge of it. It's just a guess,
I don't know. I've never heard of Migaloo, and other than that, I've got pretty big potato sack full of nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there'll be a larger one at some point, and they'll call him Migaloo Ultra. Carmela's covering her mouth,
and he's Migaloo High Life.
Carmela does not want you to know she thinks that's funny. She is covering her mouth.
I just snorted.
Yeah, well, I think
there might be a few. There might be a few extra calories in that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm comfortable with albino, Jonathan. We can lock that in.
All right, let's do it. Nick, Ricky, and Derek, what were you thinking?
Ricky, what did we say?
Yeah, so we just thinking about something physically, because of course a big mammal like that really can't do too much but show its skin occasionally. So we also agreed with albino.
Right. Well, here is what Mr. Warman has to say about Migaloo. Migaloo is all white. Technically not albino because it has brown eyes, but it is an acceptable answer. Migaloo is the Aboriginal word that means white guy.
So technically we are all Migaloos.
So both teams get credit for that. And that is the end of the first round. And both teams are tied 30-30.
Woo!
And since we're all good, should we be Ultra Migaloos?
Your first category in round 2 is science.
Science.
The term toxineering was coined as scientists were researching and using the compounds in the venoms of spiders and snakes, which typically numb and kill their prey, to develop medications that would be an alternative to what class of conventional medication? I mostly wanted to ask this because I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I would think so. I think we're going to lock in with the pharmacist's answer.
Great.
So you're saying we're at a slight disadvantage.
All right, so they're locked in. Michael, I threw two things at you. First guess was opioids. Second guess was anesthetics. What were you thinking when I said those?
I was more warm to the anesthetics, because when you're talking about spiders and snakes, you're talking venom. I think there's numbing agents in that.
She did say numbing in the question.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I think anesthetics makes sense for us. You want to lock that in?
Sure.
All right, we're going to say anesthetics.
May or may not need to change my career after this. We discussed both of those answers, and we ended up going with analgesics over anesthetics. So we'll see if career changes in my future.
I personally don't know the difference, so you're probably more right.
So what I have written down is painkillers or opioids.
No!
Should have gone with you.
All right.
So,
well, I agreed with the pharmacist, so I feel okay about my answer. Just saying.
Analgesics is probably closer to a painkiller, but I don't know because nobody got exactly what I had written down. So let me read something real quick.
Analgesics are painkillers, and
yeah, but they have to be taken anally, so I don't know if that counts.
No,
the analgesics.
That's not what analgesics.
It's not analgesics.
What about the oral G6 and the analgesics, right?
Analgesics get in your system a lot quicker.
That's right. They get absorbed.
The analgesics is a hell of a flight.
That's right. Oh God, yeah, it is.
I hate to say this, but as a Tennessee fan, we did have that frat brother back in the early 2000s that was known for butt chugging. So if you've never seen that video, you should go look for it on.
I really don't want to see that video.
Safe search off.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested. I did hear about the guy who was died of alcohol poisoning because his wife was giving him sherry enemas because he was like an alcoholic and was not allowed to. He was court ordered not to drink or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
gotta love the loopholes, don't you?
Just so nobody thinks I'm weird, the video is actually of the lawyer with this whole frat sitting out in front of our Circle Park, just kind of talking about how innocent they were that this guy was brought into the hospital for ingesting. They call it, it's the Tour de Franzia is what they called this thing. And they thought that when they dropped him off at the hospital because he was very drunk and couldn't stand up, they treated him for alcohol poisoning. But that was the whole funny thing about it.
Nothing says innocent like a fraternity house out on their front lawn talking to a lawyer.
Exactly.
I'll just take your word for it, Ricky.
Everything that I have for toxineering, they just say painkiller, and they do reference one specifically, zigonotide, which is listed as a non-narcotic pain reliever. So I'm not sure how to grade this.
So you said painkiller or opioid. Those were the two categories?
Yeah. Do we need another question? Because I could pull another question.
Honestly, I think we're either both right or both wrong the way that you're defining it or the way that you answered it. I don't think you need another one. I think you just make a call and move on.
It's double perfect game, so
yeah,
I wouldn't take that away on a technicality.
I will give credit to these because everything I have for toxineering, which I thought was a cool thing, that's why I wanted to talk about it. And they're just like painkiller, and I'm like, God, that doesn't tell me anything.
But you also didn't expect to have a pharmacist on one of the teams that would give a very specific answer.
If we had said opioids, I would have fought for that being the only right answer. But other than that, it's a matter of do they fit or not.
Yeah, and the only reason I really had called out opioids specifically because they're like it's a non-narcotic painkiller, and opioids are all narcotic painkillers, or at least a lot of them are. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of the pharmacist.
Too late.
But I will give credit to both teams for that. And actually, previously, they didn't call it toxineering at that point, I don't believe. But previous toxineering efforts actually produced a blood pressure reducing medication approved by the FDA in the 1980s. Hey. So they're making medicines out of venom, which I think is cool.
I think it's awesome.
Very.
All right, your next category is base of operations. NATO has been in the news a lot. The organization's main headquarters is located in Brussels, Belgium. The North American headquarters is located in what coastal city in the southeastern United States, which also happens to be home to the largest naval base in the world?
We are locked in.
Okay. Michael, you said Norfolk. Is that considered southeast? I thought she was talking about New Orleans.
Oh, I don't recall New Orleans being a very large. I mean, they have a naval presence. I'm not sure if they have the largest. I know Pensacola has the air base.
I mean, Jacksonville is a big naval base, but
and it's a big naval base.
I don't know about the Navy side of it.
Huge.
I honestly
I also question the southeast part.
I thought NATO was that New Orleans might be the right answer for that before she added the Navy part. So that's where my brain was at. I don't know what the Navy is like in New Orleans. I do question whether or not Virginia is considered south. I know Mason-Dixon line kind of stuff, but typically when you say southeast, Virginia is not included in the southeast. There ain't no SEC teams in Virginia.
I tend to think of South Carolina, Georgia, that area.
You could squeeze Kentucky and Tennessee in there sometimes, but
yeah.
I agree that Norfolk has a giant Navy base, though.
Yeah, and then the NATO part of it.
Why would NATO be in Norfolk?
Not necessarily U.S. Navy. So
I mean, I would not have guessed that any naval base in the southeast would be the largest in the world. So that part of it, I'm already dealing from a position of ignorance, right?
Yeah. So I'm also leading myself over to Tampa. And the reason why is because if I remember right, in the Gulf Wars and everything, I think Schwarzkopf was there, and that was I'm starting to think that maybe Tampa was an operation for NATO.
Tampa would be a harder answer to give because that's an area. Tampa Bay. Tampa itself is on the inside, on the Gulf. It's not even really. It would.
Right.
It's a weird one because is it Tampa? Is it St. Petersburg? Is it Bradenton? Is it blah blah blah? There's 100 of them. I've been to Tampa a lot. I don't recall a giant Navy base there, or Navy presence there.
Right. Other than knowing that the world headquarters is in Brussels, which was, I hope that was the answer was going to be. I honestly didn't know there was an American headquarters, and I'm comfortable with New Orleans. There's a lot of naval presence there. It makes sense. It's protected by the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm leaning to the fact that Norfolk is definitely not in the southeast United States.
And it doesn't seem like a place where they would put a NATO headquarters either.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with, it's not Miami, is it? Just double checking, it's not Miami? No, okay. Let's say New Orleans.
Too many parties.
We'll say New Orleans.
Yeah, too many parties in Miami, I can't imagine.
Okay.
Well, we decided to kind of go with your original answer there, Michael, of Norfolk, because of for me, mainly it was the naval base reason. And I guess the southeast part does sound a little crazy when you're trying to say that. I guess normally I would say mid-Atlantic for that, but really just the largest naval base, I'm pretty sure it's the one there in Norfolk.
I've been on this show for many, many times now, and almost every episode I have to remind Jonathan that Virginia and Maryland are in the South.
Quote unquote South, but not when you say Southeast, you're not seeing Virginia in that gray area.
That is true.
So Southeast, there's a couple definitions of what's included in the Southeast. One of them is anything south of Mason-Dixon and east of the Ohio River, which would also include Virginia, which is where I'm from. And this is also the city that I'm from. Norfolk, Virginia, has the largest naval base in the world, and it is where the North American headquarters for NATO is. So we are looking for Norfolk here.
Live and learn. Those are always challenging situations because it is truly an indistinct descriptor.
Yeah, I was looking when you guys were starting to debate it because I've always had it in the Southeast in my head because it falls underneath in that particular intersection.
If you split the country into quarters, that would be in the Southeast quarter.
Yep. So when I looked at
Indiana.
It says officially the Commonwealth of Virginia is a state in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeastern regions. So even it defines it as being in two different regions.
Okay.
But I did see where it's like, sometimes it's referred to in the Southeast and sometimes it's not. I've always referred to it in the Southeast, which is why I wrote the question the way that I did. So
what lit me was that I really didn't know that NATO had a North American headquarters.
Yeah.
But something in my head thought that Norfolk was the largest naval base. Maybe I should have stuck with that, but
it is.
That's okay.
It's it's the home of the Second Fleet.
We live and learn. I learned a lot about NATO today.
Yeah. Your last category in the round is varied tastes. What candy, generally associated with Easter, has many versions available all year long and also has special editions released at Halloween and Christmas? It is also the subject of an annual national eating contest.
All right, we're locked in.
Okay.
Michael, the first thing I thought of was Peeps, and it looks like you're responding with Peeps.
Yeah, there's some significant thunder here.
So is it like a rain cloud of thunder, or we got some? Is it raining cats and dogs?
I don't want to bring out the cats just yet. I think there might be room for cat. I got some thunder on this.
He just wants to know if he can hit that hammer.
Yeah, I guess not. So we're saying Peeps.
All right, Peep.
So, Carmela, what were the first 10 words of the question?
What candy, generally associated with Easter, has
once you
versions?
said that, once you said candy and Easter, our chat blew up where everybody typed Peeps at the same time. Nobody listened to the second half of the question.
I mean, Cadbury cream eggs fits the first half of that question.
Absolutely did. But when all three people on a team immediately have the same gut reaction, you go with that and damn the consequences.
So I take you went with Peeps.
You went with Peeps, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't know that there was a Peeps contest every year, but Matt Stoney, who is a competitive eater, famously took out Joey Chestnut in the Nathan's Hot Dog competition. He ate 255 of them in 5 minutes in 2017, and I think Peeps are gross.
I want to throw up just thinking about how much that is. That's like a giant ball of marshmallow and bad taste.
Yep. And he ate 255 of them, which is probably not the most extreme thing that Matt Stoney has ever eaten, but it's up there.
Was he on a toilet when he ate them? Because I imagine you could like oil yourself up on the inside and have it going out as it's coming in and reduce the amount of mass that you must be adding to your body that will have to come out later.
I was reading about Peeps in writing this question, and at one point they were doing experiments on what would dissolve a Peep, and apparently it's not much.
No, we run experiments, and we do a lot with like Peeps heads. We bite the heads off and do some other things, but I'm with Jonathan. That's something to just sort of picture in your mind and not necessarily actually see.
Yeah,
a lot of Peeps.
That's a lot of marshmallow.
So I do have a question though. Was the contest sponsored by Stay Puft?
No, I don't believe it was. Well,
the fictional marshmallow company? No, probably not.
I was going to say, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, funny enough, 265 Peeps worth of marshmallows in him. So as a comparative analysis as to how many he ate.
I think the company that owns Peeps is called like Just Born or something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And, so yeah, that's a lot of Peeps, and like I said, right. I think Peeps are gross.
Right. I was gonna say it's one of those companies. It's Just Born. They make Good and Plenty, Necco wafers, candy corn, and Peeps. Just
stuff I will not eat.
Yeah.
So that was the end of the round. We have a little bit of separation. Nick, Ricky, and Derek in the lead with 60. Jonathan and Michael have 50.
All right. Damn it, Norfolk.
Yeah, that has that reaction for a lot of people. All right. Your first category in round 3 is all roads lead to, well, somewhere. The longest east-west interstate in the United States is I-90 at 3,020.54 miles, or 4,861.09 kilometers for our international friends. The west end of this interstate ends in Seattle, Washington. The east end is in what state capital, which is the most populous city of its state and the 24th most populous in the U.S. I kind of hope everyone's drawing like a little map on their piece of paper and trying to figure out exactly where Seattle is.
It's in the top left. Or the northwest, if we want to get specific. But according to the logic from earlier, I think Denver is also considered northwest.
It's north of the midline and west of the midline.
Exactly right.
It's northwest. Which quadrant of the United States is it in, Jonathan? The south?
No. The south would be something more like Salt Lake City.
St. Louis.
Exactly.
Just remember that the next time you want me to host. That's all.
I already put a note in my head to ask for the definition of regions for the future when I have the questions.
Also, defining things about where sports teams are is probably not the best way to do things either.
I'm not just going by sports teams. I'm seeing mini maps in my mind. Mike, I thought you were locking in, but you're If you're 99% sure, say you're locked in so they can talk.
Yeah. I've got a actually one or two. Yeah, I'm meowed up. I'm good. I'm good with this.
Let's fully. Do it. Don't fully. Tease me.
I'm not going to tease you this time, Jonathan.
All
I
swear. There we go. We're locked in.
Now, did you hit the southeast corner of that or the northeast corner?
I definitely hit the right-hand side of it. No, left-hand side. I swung with the right-hand handle.
That left-hand side's more like mid-Atlantic, I think.
Yeah, no, that was the western coast of the hammer.
That was a long discussion to get to meow meows. I'm very interested to hear what that was.
He had to drive the interstate in his mind.
All right, so yeah, we're allowed to talk. East to west or west to east. We're figuring it has to end up somewhere in New England. So we started naming, New England state capitals, and then couldn't justify any of those capitals with 24th largest in the country, right? We immediately said Maine. Augusta seems not the 24th largest city. Also, probably not the largest city in Maine. So we threw that out. We went immediately next to Boston and said, all right, Boston makes a lot of sense, but probably I would think the Boston is bigger than the 24th. Then we got into the discussion of other massively southern easterly cities and into the Maryland capital of Baltimore, which is not correct. And that's where we're at currently. That's where we have debated.
It's definitely going to be the largest city in its state. So it definitely fits that one. And it does seem like it could be one of the bigger cities kind of in the area without being Boston large. So it does feel like it could fit with the clues that we've been given.
You know, I know I-40 pretty well just from being down here in Tennessee and thinking about how far it spans. But for having I-90 be bigger, it just has to me, it not only has to go all the way across the country, but it has a little bit like a bend up or something, in my opinion, too. So really getting in that New England area is what I was thinking. I will say I've been to Boston. Boston is, even though it's kind of thought of as a large city, it's not as populous. So it could be smaller, too.
You know what? Now that you say that, I've done a lot of research with working on expanding the trivia company and looking at markets and television markets and radio markets and all kinds of different stuff. And I always think, it's one of those it's funny because Portland, Oregon is always the place where I stop looking, right? Like I end my list at as major cities stop at Portland, Oregon. And for the life of me, I don't ever remember really thinking about Boston as a city in and of itself. It's almost always as the New England area.
We're going to have to come to an answer pretty shortly.
Okay.
I'm kind of leaning Boston now that thinking about it. I think Providence I think it's not a bad answer, but I think it's smaller than we think. That's just my gut.
Boston was one of the first things that came to my mind, so I'm good with going down gut instinct there as well. So,
all right. Well, if you guys want to go Boston, and I was the one that immediately dismissed it because it was too big, then let's throw out my answer and go with yours.
Okay.
All right.
Wow,
Michael.
that's your answer. That sucks. That sucks. Did I mention that it sucks? Why didn't y'all listen to Nick?
So
Go
You're
ahead,
saying that
Michael.
Boston sucks? I think your opinion on that is well known.
Go ahead, Michael.
So I used to live in Boston, and when I first heard the question, Carmela said I-90, and in my head I was thinking, well, okay, if that's the longest, what's the second longest? So I went toward the second longest while she was reading the question, and so I got turned off of I-90. I was like, well, I-80 is pretty long, so I got on an I-80 kick. That's when I asked her to reread the question. It was more focused on I-90, and then and I know the Mass Pike is I-90 in Massachusetts, so that's how I derived to Boston. And Jonathan's right. I kind of listed cities throughout the country where I-90 went through, and it just made more sense to have it through there. So
we didn't clarify whether the size was metro area or regular area. For it to be one that will make a difference. Boston has a huge metro area. It includes other major cities, which if it's metro area, it might be bigger than 24th. But if it's local, like city, then maybe 24th makes sense.
Yeah, Boston's actually quite compact because you got Cambridge on the other side of the Charles River, and it's a lot of suburbs or a lot of little burgs in there, like Dorchester and
all right,
Woburn.
All right. So Baltimore was mentioned. That was number 30 on the populous city list. Providence isn't even in the top 50, so went away from that. But sitting at number 24 is Boston, Massachusetts.
There it is.
It's got to be just city limits then instead of the
to put in perspective, Jacksonville, which is enormous land area wise, is number 12. So
right.
Yeah, we don't have a metro area. We have a forest area.
That's one of those. Yeah, Washington, D.C., the population of Washington, D.C. is like 700,000, but the D.C. metro area is 8 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Significant difference there.
Okay, cool.
So let's get into the next category, which is words.
Words.
Although we commonly hear it as all that glitters is not gold, the phrase is actually all that glisters is not gold. What Shakespearean comedy does this phrase come from? It is also the same play that gave us the phrase "a pound of flesh."
Oh, Michael, I've got
yes.
That's I was just
lock it in.
I could have even said glisters if that was the question. I was 100% confident. We're locked in. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Well, you're not saying it to me, but
Yeah, I mean, do you want a 3-2-1 it?
Too late. We already locked in. Don't steal my thunder.
All right. Well, it's a Shakespeare question.
Gosh.
So yeah, and it's a Shakespeare question where Derek immediately texted me the answer. So we are very confident that it is The Merchant of Venice.
And we are also extremely confident that it is The Merchant of Venice.
Well, I don't know if people know as much about Shakespeare as I do, so I threw that pound of flesh in there. But it didn't sound like I needed to because it is The Merchant of Venice.
There we go. Woo!
This is Carmela. You got to remember, I am on the team that was the runner-up in the all Shakespeare episode.
That's right. Out of two teams, they came in second.
That's correct. So that shows you exactly how much I know.
That being said, Nick was fabulous in that show. He literally listed out the soundtrack from Romeo and Juliet, the pop culture one, in order of songs.
Romeo plus Juliet.
Yes, it was insane.
My question is, did you get a runners-up medal?
We did not get a runner-up medal, but what I was able to do during that episode is that when she asked that question and I ripped it all off in order, I missed a couple, but what I was able to do was reach over to, and this shows you how old I am, reach over to a CD case that I had on the bookshelf next to my desk and pull the CD out of the bookshelf.
Now, also, Nick drank enough to where he added a pound of flesh, so there was that as well.
It wasn't flesh.
I'm just glad that Derek had the answer that fast because I'm no good with Billy Shakes.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Mr. Lowe, 12th grade English.
Yeah. Your last category in the round is play with your food. The bounce test is used to determine the ripeness and tastiness of what fruit grown on evergreen dwarf shrubs. The better they bounce, the better they will taste. Again, this is one of those things where I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to ask about that. I don't know if anybody will get it right, but...
That makes so much more sense than what I was thinking. Now I feel dumb.
I said Baltimore. It's fine.
We are going to want to come to an answer here in just a bit.
I think what we've learned here is that I know nothing about fruit.
Agreed.
Well, now you have homework.
I'm going to have to do some research.
All right, I'm going to give teams about 45 seconds to come up with an answer.
Maybe just don't ask questions that have so many great avenues of discussion, and we'll be in a better shape.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll be a worse question writer from now on.
Thank you. That's all we ask. Okay, we're locked in.
All right.
Oh, we have no idea. We're the evergreen part of this is completely flummoxed us, because everything that we would think that you would bounce would have a rind. And if it has a rind, it's probably a citrus fruit. And if it's a citrus fruit, it grows on a damn tree. So that's where we're like coconuts bounce. They're not on a evergreen bush. The hell grows on an evergreen bush? None of us, we don't know.
Got a joke answer for me?
No. We're going to guess some.
So I keep going to like maybe the hollyberry or and it doesn't necessarily have to be round, but it has to be spherical if it bounces.
I'm caught up in the idea of watching people throw fruit against the ground, watching it splat.
Yeah, it's like, I'm looking at David Letterman.
You know
Can David
what?
Letterman help me?
Do you want to go with avocado, Michael? It's got a hard enough skin. It's going to be wrong, but avocado.
That's right. That's a hill I'm willing to die on.
There we go.
Let's
Not
do
me.
that.
I'm running.
Bouncing away.
Guacamole.
All right.
Lots of guacamole.
Ricky, Derek, and Nick, what do you got for me?
Derek is definitely our fruit person, or at the very least, he understands the concept of fruit better than I do.
The only thing I could think of that grows on something that I would call like a dwarf shrub or something that grows that low to the ground was cranberries. And we talked for a long time about different stone fruits and considering a lot of different things. And there's nothing we really came up with that we thought would grow on anything like a dwarf shrub. So just thought about flooding those bogs to harvest them and ended up going with cranberries because we did not come up with any better answers.
Yeah, so that was the thing where I'm realizing that for the first time in my entire life, I am analyzing how cranberries would be grown. And when we threw out cranberries, I'm like, well, they grow in a bog. And then I'm like, wait, they don't grow on water. So are they growing on lily pads? No, that's not how that works. That's not how nature works. Are there little tiny like drowning trees that are growing the berries up onto the thing?
And then
Derek explained. Yeah, then Derek explained to me that, no, they grow on the trees and then they flood the bog in order to harvest them. And then they float up to the top. And I go, oh, that makes so much more sense than whatever the hell I had in my head.
So the way this story goes, apparently, is back in the 1880s, a guy named John Webb cascaded cranberries down the stairs, and the ones that stayed near the top were less desirable than the ones that bounced their way to the bottom and remained in great shape. They do grow on little bushes, little evergreen bushes, and then you flood to harvest them. I am definitely looking for cranberries. So great job, Derek.
Wow, great job.
Learn that they're an evergreen today.
I got a lesson in agriculture today.
So at the end of the third round, Nick, Ricky, and Derek have 90. Jonathan and Michael have 70. Still a close game. Let's get into the midpoint.
I think we got a little bit bogged down there.
But
I was waiting for that one.
Your midpoint category is the Grammys. The Grammys were this past weekend. For 5 points each, tell me the name of the artist that goes along with these categories. The most current album of the year winner. The youngest album of the year winner. Most Grammys won by a male artist in one night. And youngest best new artist winner. So I'm looking for most current album of the year winner. Youngest album of the year winner. Most Grammys won by a male artist in one night. And youngest best new artist winner.
Carmela, this is specifically for this year's Grammys or all time?
The first one is specific to this year's Grammys.
The other ones are all time.
The other ones are, they could be from whenever. So the youngest of all time to win Album of the Year.
Right.
Most Grammys won by a male artist in one night. That would be an all-time thing, and same thing for youngest. The only one that's specific to this year's Grammys was the first one.
I think we're ready to lock in.
Sweet.
Yeah, we got answers. We're going to lock in.
Yay. All right. And I'll give you another minute or so here.
This year's Album of the Year, we had John Baptiste. We were figuring the youngest album of the year would have been Adele with 21. Youngest new artist, the fourth one on your list, we were thinking Billie Eilish, which I remember seeing a conversation on Facebook with Paul Paquette about how Billie Eilish is the first Grammy winner born in this century, which is terrifying. So those three we are pretty much locked in with. So the only one we have left to discuss is most Grammys won by a male in the same year. So we threw out Kendrick Lamar because he had a good night a couple of years ago. The one that was in my head was Drake because, I mean, he's won a ton of them, right? I don't know if it's the same year. And then the last one that just it's a Grammy male artist question about a good year. We have to include Michael Jackson in there, don't we?
Yeah, I would think so.
One would think, yeah.
I wouldn't know which year specifically to do it, but wasn't Thriller and Bad in the same year or something like that, or close to it?
I don't know if those were the same year, but I think you're right. They are close. Man, that one's hard. I could see Drake also. That's the bad thing. You just added another one in my head.
Right.
Bruno Mars just tied a record for most awards in a certain category, but I don't think he got the most in one ceremony.
I feel like you can't get the most in one ceremony unless you're up amongst like the most all time, right? Unless you're like Quincy Jones or something.
Yeah.
You're going to need an answer pretty soon.
All right. Which way you all, we have three options. We have three people. Let's pick one. Are we going with Kendrick Lamar? Are we going with Michael Jackson, or are we going with Drake?
I would lean towards either of the first two.
I'm okay with Michael Jackson, actually.
Okay,
Perfect.
so then the fourth answer is Michael Jackson.
All right, so give me your answers one more time, please.
John Baptiste, Adele, Michael Jackson, Billie Eilish.
Okay.
The way that you guys chose Adele and Billie Eilish was interesting. I wonder how you know that Eilish wasn't younger than Adele for your answer and why that was different. Because for us, Michael knew John Baptiste, who I've never heard of, so thank God you knew that, Michael. Youngest Album of the Year winner, we said Billie Eilish. Perhaps she was a little older than Adele, but they're going to be really close if it's between them. Michael made a suggestion of Baptiste again because he was holding like a handful of Grammys, but then threw out one that sounded really good, which would have been 1980's own Sailing Christopher Cross. And so we think he won 4 or 5 that night, and that sounded good to us. So we said Christopher Cross for the most in a single night by a guy. And then Best New Artist, Youngest, we thought this doesn't have to be a good album. A big song can get you into the New Artist category. So we went with Leanne Rimes, who we think was like 14 or 15 when she had her big hit.
My thought process on Adele versus Eilish was, I know that Eilish has won a Grammy. I know that Adele has won a Grammy. I assumed that Adele's was for her album, whereas I assumed that Billie Eilish's was for new artist. So just putting the right one with the right category was more of where I think we went with that.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, let's get into the answers. The most recent Album of the Year winner for his album We Are is John Baptiste. He's a great musician. He's the creative director for the Harlem Jazz Museum in New York. And he's also the leader of the house band for Stephen Colbert. So if you don't know who he is, that's who he is.
That's who he is.
Cool.
Most recently won an Oscar, and not this past Oscar, the Oscar before, for his work on Soul. Him and Trent Reznor.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, so he's halfway to an EGOT in about a year.
Wow.
It's a good year. Yeah.
That's
he's had a
something
good
right there.
year. So the youngest Album of the Year winner, she won it in 2020 for When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Billie Eilish. The most winning male artist in a single night did it in 1984 with 8 Grammys.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. John Baptiste did win a lot of Grammys. He won 5, but not close to the 8. Michael Jackson did in 1984. So Michael Jackson's who we're looking for there. On the flip side of that, the most Grammys for a female artist in single night is actually a tie between Beyonce and Adele. They both won 6. Adele did it in 2012 and Beyonce did it in 2010. And the youngest Best New Artist winner, she did it at age 14 in 1997, was Leanne Rimes.
Wow.
Impressive.
Between the two teams, we got them all right. But none of us got them all right.
Right, yeah.
But
it was good teamwork because I wouldn't have pulled that with Jonathan. So, yeah, it was great.
Jonathan and Michael got 3. Nick, Derek, and Ricky got 2. But good job. You guys did great.
Yeah, I also conflated youngest new artist with youngest Grammy winner.
Yeah. Well, youngest
well, again,
Grammy,
not
I think is
youngest
even
Grammy winner. It's
younger than that.
Currently. Right. So, yeah, being the only Grammy winner born in the 21st century.
She is the most recent to win the big 4, like album of the year, best song, you like all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the reason I was confident in Eilish for album of the year, because I knew that she had swept the big ones.
Yeah. She did it most recently in 2020. But yeah, it was a big night for John Baptiste. So
very cool.
And he's great. If you haven't listened to We Are, it's actually a very great album. It's very good. All right. So after the midpoint, Nick, Ricky, and Derek have 100. Jonathan and Michael have 85.
185. All right. That is the end of the first half. Before we go on to the second half, I want to let you know that today's show is sponsored by Every Plate. Every Plate is America's best value meal kit. So you know what meal kits are. These are these boxes that come to your door and they're pre-packaged with the ingredients you need and the recipes that you need. All you have to do is put them together and make them taste delicious, and they tell you exactly how to do it, right? Every Plate is the best at doing this and saving you money. In May, your cost is going to be like $1.79 a meal. Think about that. That sounds pretty darn good, right? It costs us $5 to buy a small coffee, but we can have a whole meal for $1.79 using Every Plate. That's the smart thing to do. We all want to eat affordably, and most of us are interested in eating healthy. Every Plate helps us to do that. They give us delicious dinners that do not break the bank at all. They're already pre-portioned, pre-packaged, just like I said, meaning you go to the grocery store less, which means you buy less things off the cuff. You have fewer impulse buys, and you get more for your money with Every Plate. This isn't the same old thing. Whatever routine you're in, whatever rut you're in, Every Plate is the way out of it. Get a wide range of all kinds of dishes, whether it's meat or seafood or vegetarian stuff. You can swap out what you like. You can make this exactly what you want. And the price point is perfect. I love being able to do it this way. And frankly, I'm able to save time in a big way using Every Plate. I was able to do editing on a show this week on a night that I used Every Plate, that I cooked a meal that was delicious, and I had extra time to get my work done. It doesn't get better than that, I'm telling you right now. You can try Every Plate today for $1.79 a meal by going to everyplate.com and entering code TWA179. That's right, you can start Every Plate right now for just $1.79 a meal by going to everyplate.com and entering code TWA179. Today's show is also sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. You know, it really feels like the last couple of years, maybe even the last decade, I don't know, we've had the world conspire against us to make things more challenging and give us more stress, right? We end up with more headaches, grinding our teeth. Sometimes we get upset stomachs. We're not getting enough sleep. We're overeating. We're undereating. There's all kinds of problems that we have in our lives because we're stressed out. And it seems like all around us are more reasons to be stressed out. That's why BetterHelp stands out as a service that people actually need in the world today. BetterHelp is customized online therapy. Okay, so you can connect with a licensed clinical therapist either through video chat or phone calls, or sometimes you're texting back and forth. You don't have to use the camera if you don't want to, but it's a good opportunity. You get some nonverbals in there that I personally, when I talk to Crystal, I like using video because she sees what I'm looking like when I'm saying it, and sometimes that makes a difference. This is better and more. This is more affordable than the traditional versions of therapy where you would have to go drive to somebody's office, sometimes take time off work to go get your appointment and wait in the waiting room and take more time. This is so much easier. It is more affordable, and it's a great way for you to lower your stress. BetterHelp might be right for you. And because we're sponsored by BetterHelp, our listeners will get 10% off of their first month. Just go to betterhelp.com/TWA. Okay, go get 10% off your first month right now at BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp.com/TWA. Today's show is also sponsored by Family Sounds. Family Sounds is your memories in a podcast. That's their catchphrase. So what does that mean? It's more than just you talking into a microphone and being recorded. Let's start with that. Family Sounds is a company run by people who have extensive experience crafting stories for public broadcasting. You know what that means? That means they're really good at it. They're really good at listening to what somebody is saying and shaping it so that it is of the most interest. When you listen back to your podcast about you, or about your parents, or about your kids, or about things that are important to you that you worked with Family Sounds to create, your story will be transformed. It will be done in such a way that everybody who listens to it, whether you're sharing it with your kids or your friends or family or whoever, they're going to listen to it and they're going to say, wow, that's amazing. I've never heard you tell that story that way before. It's going to resonate with them. It's such a beautiful concept. And I can tell you right now, I'm friends with the folks who own Family Sounds. We've worked together before. I know that they're good people, and I know that they are good at this. I think you should check it out. You can give Family Sounds a try today. Go to www.family-sounds.com/TWA. I'm going to read that again for you. Go to Family Sounds. It's www.family-sounds.com/TWA. I'm going to put a link to this in the show notes. Check them out now. It's Family Sounds. I said it before. It's your memories in a podcast. Okay, everybody, let's get on with the second half of today's game.
Your first category in round 4 is Surreal Estate. In cemeteries, you may see certain iconography on headstones that have different meanings. For instance, what may you find on the headstone of a person who died at a very young age to symbolize a life cut prematurely short? It is also what Michael Bluth found in a paper bag in the refrigerator. And yes, I do realize this is a morbid question. I didn't intend for it to be so morbid.
I'm wondering if the descriptor that you're looking for is the same on both, because that would be even more morbid.
Could you read the part about the life cut short? Could you read that again?
Sure. For instance, what may you find on a headstone of a person who died at a very young age to symbolize a life cut prematurely short? It is also what Michael Bluth found in a paper bag in the refrigerator.
All right, we're locked in.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an angel or anything like that. I think it's going to be something symbolic of cutting or of half of something or of
I'm a little cut short by the question.
So like what symbolically represents, like, could be, first of all, do you know anything about the Bluths? Is that Arrested Development?
That's Arrested Development. I have no clue.
You never see? Have you seen? Did you watch the show?
I know, and my brothers encouraged me to watch it, to see it, and I just never got around to doing it. So I know I've got probably a hit out on me after this comes out.
I know there's some kind of saying that the money's in the something, like the pineapple card or the banana card or something like that, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't see anybody putting a pineapple or a banana on a headstone. So something that could represent a life cut short. People say like your child passed away because God needed another flower in heaven or something like that, which I think is an awful thing to say personally. But a flower could be representative, or I mean, like it's like trying to prove a negative. What represents something that didn't happen? You know? Right.
Now, the morbid person in me, and this is where the Bluth question kind of comes in, is I do know that sometimes, and it's been a while since I've been to a graveyard with, actually observing headstones, but could it be hands? Like hands on a tombstone, and
would he have found hands in a plastic or paper
and
bag?
And they might find a hand in a paper bag.
Sounds like The Godfather Part 4.
Yeah, well, goes into the morbidity of it. I don't know. That sometimes, on the headstones, it's hands extended to heaven, or.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't feel like that. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it fits the whole question.
Yeah.
What about, once again, could it be wings? Like angel wings in a sense, like what's the word? Cupid wings almost, and then maybe Bluth found like chicken wings on the door or something.
Yeah, that's a thought too.
That's my original backup answer.
Yeah, my original question to you was angel, but then how do you find an angel in a paper bag?
Mm-hmm. We're gonna need some question fairly soon.
I was gonna say it's a question that's been bothering philosophers for eons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many angels can you
fit? Are we really here?
Could it be baby booties? Like little kids' shoes?
That's a thought.
They could be in a paper bag on a door, I guess, for whatever reason, if there's kids involved.
Also be on a headstone.
And it definitely represents that this was a child.
Yeah.
Do you like that better, or do you like wings better? I think anybody could be wings. I don't think it has to be a kid.
Yeah. I like the idea of baby booties or the hands.
Let's go with the booties.
And if we want to be less morbid about it, let's do the baby booties.
Let's do the booties because then we get to answer booty. And that's always fun. Yeah. That makes it less morbid. Our answer to this morbid question is booty. No, we'll say a little baby booties.
Okay. Nick, Derek, and Ricky.
Yeah, so I understand the comparison you're making here between Arrested Development and a child's gravestone. The epitaph "Dead dove, do not eat" applies to both scenarios, I think, equally. That was the line from Arrested Development. He opens the refrigerator. He looks in the paper bag has a note written on it saying "Dead dove, do not eat." He opens up the paper bag, looks inside, and then looks into the camera and goes, "Well, I don't know what else I was expecting." So a dove was the answer that we locked in with.
I've never seen Arrested Development, but I have seen this meme a lot of "Dead dove, do not eat," and the iconography would be a dove lying dead. So I will accept dove because you actually said dove, but yeah, it's that's why I made that comparison because of that. Honestly, because of the meme.
It's a dead dove. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a dead dove.
Okay. So yeah, I guess for me, Michael, I wouldn't have ever come up with dove because I think of dove as peace, but I didn't have the connection to Arrested Development or the meme, so that's why.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either, but I know that I've got a brother that's going to be driven nuts for a few minutes, and that's going to make me feel a little satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Jonathan, there's always money in the banana stand.
The banana stand is the okay.
Stand.
It was bananas then. Also, bananas don't bounce down the stairs, so they are not a right answer to that.
Right, yeah.
They do not pass the bounce test.
No, they splat. I was just imagining all the different things that have splatted as people try and test for ripeness.
Just throw an apple down the stairs.
Where we get the Trivial Warfare YouTube tie-in is now let's just do a montage of people throwing fruit down the stairs for 30 minutes.
When you said bounce test, I literally thought you were talking about like throwing something against the ground and seeing if it bounced straight up. So this is literally like people just taking fruit like a kiwi and going splat. It's like, no, I splattered. That's not it.
Like, nope, that's not what we want. All right, your next question category is "It's all fun and games." Let's get away from the morbid part. Nolan Bushnell, co-founder of Atari, went on to found what chain restaurant in San Jose, California in 1977, which now has over 600 locations and had to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2020 due to the pandemic.
Meow, meow.
I see. Jonathan's grabbed the hammer.
We can lock in. Let me send it to you.
San Diego restaurant chain.
San Jose is what I said.
San Jose, sorry.
San Jose. That would be 1,500 miles away from San Diego, wouldn't it? Give or take. All right. California restaurants, not helpful because all restaurants are California restaurants, aren't they? Don't most restaurants like start in California?
California,
I think
Texas.
you're right.
Yeah. Jack in the Box. I'm not going to have a legitimate answer.
I was thinking In-N-Out Burger.
In-N-Out. Okay.
Isn't it over there in the?
Yeah, it's definitely not East Coast.
That one's also down in Texas. I'm not sure where it started. Could have started in California. I know. I think El Pollo Loco started in California. I'm not sure if they filed for bankruptcy. Don't know why.
This is one where I think we can make up time by just throwing out an answer because we're probably not going to be right.
Go for it.
I don't know.
All right, let's go with Ricky's answer of In-N-Out, locked in.
Okay.
So y'all kind of went fast food based, but if Nolan Bushnell created Atari, that means he was into video games. So it would stand to reason that he would create a restaurant that had to do with video games. And there's one that stands above all, and that is Chuck E. Cheese.
The category was "It's all fun and games," and when I tested this with Waco, he said, Dave and Buster's. I said, yes, Dave and Buster's, but for children.
Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, Dave Bushnell. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Filthy Chuck E. Cheese.
Filthy rat casino.
Yes. Agreed.
Charles Entertainment Cheese. But yes, Chuck E. Cheese. So Jonathan and Michael get the points for that.
Glad we went quickly. Would not have come up with that ever.
I'm really surprised you haven't heard that one, Nick. That seems like something that would be in your space.
Very much does. And honestly, when you went at it from the video game side of it, it's essentially the only logical answer. But I heard California restaurant and immediately went fast food.
Yeah. I understand that. And that's why I put It's All Fun and Games for the category to try and lead people towards game stuff.
I tried to stay away from places that only give me 2 alcoholic drinks. So.
I was going to say also, Carmela, I'll loan you some kids. Go ahead and take them to a Chuck E. Cheese, and then you tell me if the word fun is any longer associated with that location.
Entertainment, also not true.
Well, I do have a sister who's 12 years younger than I am, and we have had birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese when I was a teenager, and she was not, and I know that. But yeah, it would lead you to 2 things, and then it's a coin flip whether it's Chuck E. Cheese or David Buster's. So, but good job, everyone. Your last category in the round is 7th Time Lucky. Styx' 7th studio album, The Grand Illusion, has one of their biggest hits, Come Sail Away, as one of its singles, peaking at number 8 on the Hot 100. What was the album's release date? Something that you may want to see sailing across your slot machine. I'm looking for a month, day, and year.
Yes.
Gotta be.
For it. It has to be. Only thing that makes sense.
Do y'all want to 3-2-1 this question that we don't know the answer to?
Sure. Yeah.
Because, I mean, just the logic drives you there so harsh.
100%. That's the only thing that it could possibly be.
All right. Let's do it.
3?
Wait, okay, go ahead.
Just
we'll answer different thing.
Do it. Just
3,
do it.
3, 2, 1.
7, 77.
7.
Their 7th studio album was released on July 7th, 1977. So 7's across the board, and both teams get full credit.
Yay.
I just thought that was fun. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
really?
Pretty fun. Yeah, that was fun.
By the way, I don't know if you knew this. They are still releasing music. They released their 17th album last year.
Whoa.
So
just as good as the first.
Is Dennis DeYoung still the one kind of running the show?
No, Dennis DeYoung is no longer with the band. Actually, Waco and I had a very long conversation about that.
Yeah, he was not a likable person according to the rest of the band, but he was the driving force behind a lot of the early electronic kind of sounding Styx. And then when Shaw and the other guitarists really wanted to get a little bit harder, it got really tense.
It was Mr. Roboto that sunk him.
So, like I said, Waco and I had a pretty long conversation about Styx after I asked him this question, and he tends to believe Dennis DeYoung's side of the story, but I guess Dennis DeYoung got sick at some point and had to step away from the band, and then this schism had formed between both sides, and he never rejoined the band. So, which is unfortunate because I think he would like to, but they're in their 70s now. there's not a whole lot of time there.
The Styx Greatest Hits from the 70s is a tremendous album. Some good stuff on there for like classic rock.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you really want to check Dennis DeYoung out, he was terrific as Pontius Pilate in Jesus Christ Superstar. He did a national tour of that.
Really?
And yeah, he went to the stage and it was phenomenal.
That's pretty cool. Well, that is the end of the round. At the end of round 4, Nick, Derek, and Ricky have 120 points. And Jonathan and Michael have 105.
Oh, how are we not catching up? I thought we got one right that they got wrong.
I was.
And then they also got one right that you got wrong. So
which one?
The
dove.
Damn it.
I was trying to forget about that one.
I don't know what I expected. All right, your first category in round 5 is odd inspirations. What weapon, developed by NASA researcher Jack Cover, got its name by using a loose acronym of the title of the book, Tom Swift and His Electric Rifle?
Yeah, we're locked in.
Okay.
All right, Michael, it's got to be Taser. Tom, and then Swift Electric Rifle. T-S-E-R, Taser.
Yep.
All right.
I like that.
We're in. Taser.
Okay.
Yep. Electric Rifle, Tom Swift. Good question. Taser.
Not a whole lot of flavor I need to add here because that is correct. T-A-S-E-R, Tom Swift and His Electric Rifle. Taser. Good job, everyone. Your next category is crazy credits. Eureka's Castle was a children's animated show that ran on Nick Jr. from 1989 to 1991, featuring characters living in a wind-up castle music box owned by a friendly giant. The show's head writer is what children's author, known for writing stories that aren't as saccharine, and who was portrayed by Jack Black in a 2015 film?
You said whose stories are not as saccharine?
Yep.
Not as saccharine as Eureka's Castle?
Correct.
Okay.
Not as saccharine as living in a wind-up music box.
Yeah, we're locked in.
Okay.
So, Michael, the first thing that came to my mind would be Roald Dahl because he had some crazy stories. Even though he's a children's writer, he had lots of stuff that was kind of darker.
Roald Dahl is he's definitely not saccharine.
Well, do you know when he died?
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't.
I was just wondering if he was alive in that period because I have no idea. He might be from the 80s and I wouldn't know. I like that in 1880s, rather. Do you know anything about the Jack Black angle of this? Like what movies was Jack?
I don't. I know
Black
he was. I know he was in Yo Gabba Gabba.
Jack Black was
Very
or Roald
famously.
Dahl?
Yeah. No, Jack Black.
Okay.
I know he's in Yo Gabba Gabba, so he's really getting into the kids shows.
Like 2014, though, he would have been in. This is like Nacho Libre area or Tenacious D, Pick of Destiny stuff. It's before Jumanji for sure.
Yeah.
School of Rock was
I bring
in
out
this
Jumanji
area
because that was a book.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know who wrote Jumanji.
Trying to think of like maybe Lewis Carroll. No, he's way too old. No way.
Yeah.
Children's writers.
I mean, I like Roald Dahl.
I guess I do too. I'm trying to think of who else it could be. Like there was a Cat in the Hat movie. Maybe Dr. Seuss was still alive back then. But Eureka's Castle doesn't sound like a Dr. Seuss joint.
Mm-mm.
We are going to need something pretty soon.
And was he Dr. Seuss?
No, I don't know. I can't pick a movie here. Do you want to say Roald Dahl?
Yeah.
All right, we'll say Dahl.
Go from there.
Well, I watched Eureka's Castle when I was young. I definitely remember that show. Did not pay enough attention to the credits, but in the chat came up with the Goosebumps guy, and I had about 60 of those on my shelf. So we ended up going with R.L. Stein as the answer.
Son of a biscuit.
The Jack Black movies that, Jonathan, I know, because I have the same problem where I'm not quite sure of time frames. That was all like 10 years before this time frame I'm giving you for Jack Black.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like School of Rock, that's like 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not sure. I think I was still working at the movie theater.
2000 and 2010, there's not anything that actually came out. That is a black hole for me.
Right. 2010 Jack Black would have been like The Holiday.
Never.
Yeah, that would have
That's
been
romantic comedy Jack Black phase.
Even then,
Shallow Hal.
Even then, that was still like 2007.
Was it really? Was that
yeah, it
just
was still
late
because I was still
2000?
working at the theater when these movies were out. But yeah, I'm looking for R.L. Stine. This was just 2 years before he was in the first Jumanji remake or reboot. So, but yeah, R.L. Stine is who I'm looking for here.
Yay!
I can't believe it. We're just losing points everywhere.
Your last category in the round is brought to us by Will Gilbert.
Thank you, Will.
Oh God,
Will.
Or as I like to call him, Wilbert.
Wilbert. Good friend, Will Gilbert. Your category is digital quirks. In the 2000s, music sales had an interesting blip. CDs were still the best-selling music format, and MP3s were on the rise in the second spot. In fourth place was the debut of streaming music. What unique format was the third highest-selling music format from 2005 to 2008, injecting over $1 billion in sales into the music industry in 2008 alone?
Carmela, does this question, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to, but is this question with those dates implying that this music format did not exist after 2008, or is it saying that was just the start of a new music format that would continue on?
I would say that this still exists, but is not nearly as popular.
Okay, the blip part of it is what's making it hard for me, because a blip seems like a big thing, and now we don't anymore.
All right, we're gonna lock in.
Okay, so Michael, it's possible that it's that. So there was in this era, I remember I can't remember the daggum name of it. It started with an R or something, and it might have been by Creative or it might have been by something else, but there was a device that was like an iPod, but was really small.
It was
it's called a Zune.
Yes.
So those are enormous.
Yeah, well, but Zune is a different one, but there was another one similar as, yeah, exactly. And you could do MP3s, but you could do other file types too. DivX is a name that keeps coming to my mind, but I'm truly wondering about Apple, about the AAC format now, because with the introduction of the Apple Store, which that's the right era for the introduction of the Apple Store, because of the iPhone being introduced around that time, 2005, 2006, and iPods were already in existence. They could sell Apple proprietary music with the AAC and prevent people from being able to share it, right? So that was a thing that people would buy in that era, and they buy less of it now because streaming has jumped it way, right? So CDs has gone down, but streaming has gone way up. And MP3s obviously are up because anybody who sells something that's not Apple is MP3. So it could still be AAC, and people just don't use Apple to buy their music as much anymore.
Right. So I'm with you there. I also kind of wonder, when was the resurrection of vinyl?
Vinyl, with the hipsters, kind of came back in the last 10 years. It's gotten bigger and bigger in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's too that era is too soon for vinyl.
I think
for vinyl's
so too.
resurgence.
And she said new format.
Right.
So it's not 8-track either.
Right. And I keep thinking of, those things that look like zip files that you plug in, and
We're going to need something.
I'm
pretty
glommed
soon.
onto the Apple idea.
I mean, I don't know if it's right or not, but I think we can go with it. Let's say AAC.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I wish I could provide you a better time for that. But
No, sure.
So we, Jonathan, one of the things that I had learned a long time ago is that if I think something happened 10 years ago, it was probably closer to 20. So when the vinyl thing came in, that was the first thing I think that we came up with was the sort of vinyl resurgence, something in there. And then we said, okay, just for fun, let's start listing other things, where we went through the 8-track, cassette, laserdisc, mini disc, reel to reel. Was Blu-ray ever a music medium, right, rather than just video? And then when Carmela read it back off, she said the word unique style, which totally threw all of the previous conversation out the window. We landed on YouTube as being something that could have driven sales in the music industry as a medium, and it was unique at the time, yet would still be around. So we locked in with YouTube.
All right. So this was probably the format still exists, but it was. Once I tell you what it is, you'll definitely recognize it as a relic of its time, because you would see commercials of dial in this number on your cell phone to get these ringtones for your favorite songs. The answer I'm looking for here is ringtones.
That's a good question.
Oh.
That makes so much sense. And it would have contributed $1 billion to the industry.
And it is a unique format.
And it's a unique format.
I didn't even consider it a format. What kind of were they? Was it a different file type? It wasn't an MP3 file?
Let me see exactly.
There was a couple of different, from personal experience, there was a couple of different types of file types that you could have.
Well, that's
and the huge technological breakthrough was when they started accepting MP3s as ringtones. So because then you could literally create your own. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember downloading WAV files to use as ringtones.
Sure. That's to me, the format would be the file type or the media itself. I didn't even consider ringtone as a format.
Yeah, no, and that's now that you say, Carmela, it's exactly, you described it exactly right. Now that you said it, it seems obvious.
Yeah, you would recognize as a relic of during that 3-year period.
Yep.
Right before the rise of smartphones was, you have to dial this number, because you would see it on commercials all the time. Mm-hmm. But Will provided me with an article where he got the information. This is from visualcapitalist.com. So there's the ringtone era. While acquiring music was as easy as opening LimeWire on your desktop computer, transferring that new T-Pain track to a flip phone wasn't a seamless experience. This brief gap in technology before smartphones hit mass adoption brought us the ringtone era. Distribution was controlled by mobile carriers, so ringtones were a comfortable gateway for the record industry to get a taste for digital-based revenue.
It also started, it started with the 8-bit digitization of music and then turned into actual music. Yeah.
I remember on I had a Nokia, because obviously it was what everybody had.
You still have it somewhere. It's not broken.
It's probably in a box.
Right,
I moved from 6 different houses, and there were certain buttons that you could hold and create your own ringtones. So they would have websites or on forums where people had gone in and created music using these buttons, and you could recreate it yourself, and it would play that song in an 8 or a 16-bit sound, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, my Nokia is in with the BlackBerry. It's in my box of BlackBerry Nokia phones.
Do BlackBerries pass the bounce test?
Not anymore.
No, they smash.
Yeah, that's definitely
it would become a crackberry at that point.
Bounce or smash is an entirely different game.
All right, that is the end of the 5th round. Ricky, Derek, and Nick are still in the lead with 140. Jonathan and Michael have 115.
We're getting beat, Michael.
I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry? We are getting beat, not you.
Your first category in round 6 is brought to us by Luke May. So thank you, Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
Your category is science.
Science.
Neurons, or nerve cells, are specialized cells in your body that are composed of 3 specific main parts. One is the cell body. Give me either of the other 2 parts. 2-point bonus if you can give me both.
Oh, shout out to the bonus brigade.
Bonus brigade.
Yeah, we're locked in.
Oh, shit.
All right. Was it the pharmacist this time?
Oh, yeah. I literally am sitting on my hands. At no point did I even bother typing. I was just waiting for the answer to come in.
So, Michael, the one word that does come to my mind, which I don't even know what this is at all, but the word dendrite comes into my mind. Does that ring any bells for what would be a part of a neuron?
It does in the word synapse.
And so synapse came to my mind too, but I thought that neurons...
That's more of a reaction.
No, I thought that neurons traveled through the synapses. So synapses are like the highway. They make the connections between the different places, and the neuron is the message that's passing through the synapse to get from place to place.
Right.
That's what I think.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know what a dendrite is. It may not even be related. It might have something to do with who knows? It could be freaking metal for all I know.
Right.
The cell. If one part is the cell body, that means everything that is contained within the cell is part of that cell body, right? All the different ribosomes and nucleus and mitochondria and all that stuff. So it's not any of that stuff. That means it's on the external part of the cell. And so that means it is probably a propulsion method. Like a unicellular or monocellular or whatever single cell organism has cilia or flagella or whatever different method they have for traveling.
Right. Which, dendrite sounds plausible.
Is it
as well
dendrite
as
or dendricle? Yeah, I was just about to ask. I
was going to go tendril.
Tendril?
Yeah.
I think we could answer dendrite for one of them just because that's the main word that we came up with there.
Sure.
I don't know what another one could be.
Yeah, and for me, tendril is relevant to tentacle. And
tendril is just a word for a tentacle-like thing that extends out.
Right.
We are going to need an answer pretty soon.
I don't think we have to give a bonus. We can just say dendrite, and if you want to say synapse, we can. Maybe I'm just mistaken about it.
As the bonus?
Sure,
why not?
All right, we'll say dendrite and synapse.
Okay.
Right. So, super basic neurobiology lesson. Your neurons send their messages or action potentials, as they're called, along the axon, which is the tendril-like side of the neuron. They get communicated via neurotransmitters across the synapse, which is the joint between two neurons, and they are received by the dendrites, which are the tree-like protrusions on the other neuron that retrieve the signal. So axon and dendrite are your two portions of the neuron.
Whoa. I'm glad that you said that's basic, because that didn't make us feel dumb at all.
I was going to say that was, I know it wasn't intended that way, but as soon as you said very basic lesson, I go, this is going to make me feel dumb.
Yup. Because that's the minimum
thing. There's no way I'm coming out looking good here.
That's the thing that the fourth graders need to learn about neurobiology. It's a tree-like structure.
You said dendrils. I'm like, oh, that's a good word. What does that mean? Like, immediately pictures of flagellum came into mind.
Yep.
And I'm like, but that can't be this. And then I stopped thinking because we had the right answer and it didn't involve me.
What Derek didn't tell you was I typed all that for him to say. So,
hey, that's that University of Tennessee education right there. That's good stuff.
That's right.
Well, Derek gave a perfect explanation as to what I was looking for, axons and dendrites. Both teams get credit, but Derek gets to give his team a couple extra points. So, for knowing both. Your next category that's a hell of a resume. What World War II general, as a junior officer, was the only American to compete in the first modern pentathlon in the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden? He was later part of the Panchovia expedition, which was the first time the U.S. Army used motor vehicles in a military action. And it's also where he began using an ivory-handled Colt single-action Army revolver that he was associated with for the rest of his life.
Meow to the meow meows.
Oh, wow. We got the meow meow meow. I did a paper.
I'm texting you the answer.
Oh, you're texting me the answer? I thought I already texted you the answer. Oh, well, you're going with that one? Okay. Well, then we're meowing on your answer if you're that confident.
It won't. Stupid spell check. You know who I mean.
No, I see what you're saying.
So are you locked in or not?
Actually, no, I want to discuss this now, and I want to hear the question. I want you to clarify something. You said as a junior officer. Which part of the question were you referring to when you mentioned junior officer?
When he was a junior officer, he was the only American to compete as in the first modern pentathlon in 1912. He later became a World War II general.
I see.
But when he was he was a junior officer in 1912.
Okay.
Modern pentathlon, I believe, with consisting of ice cream truck repair, greased pole climbing.
So I do want to.
Tug of war.
Michael, is your knowledge about the whole Colt action revolver thing, is that what's giving you a confident answer? If it is, then I'll just back off.
It was just before, but we can discuss. We can discuss if we want. Okay.
You have the technology to discuss.
Okay, so Ricky, you're in agreement with what I threw out there?
I am.
Okay, well then let's lock in because Derek has recused himself from the question.
All right, so you're locked in, Michael. My knowledge of just what I know in this era, I wrote as a senior in high school or junior in high school, I wrote what turned into a 30-plus page paper on the Mexican Revolution of 1910 to 1920. So I'm very familiar with the Pancho Villa expedition, which was led by General Blackjack Pershing. He probably wouldn't have been a junior officer in 1912. That's why I needed that reference back. I'm like, when was this person a junior officer? So that was where my mind was going immediately because of Pancho Villa, but now thinking about it in the dates, that's probably not going to be it. So then we go to your thought process, and why don't you talk about it?
Sure. So Carmela brought up the Olympics, and I believe when I read the biography of this person, that this person was in the Olympics in 1912. I know that there was a lot of this person being stationed in California during the Pancho Villa expedition era when he was stationed in Southern California, and his papers are over at Whittier College.
The Pancho Villa expedition went out of New Mexico, though.
Yeah, it was also it was a border. Okay. But what glommed on to me was that he always carried pearl-handled Colt.
Okay, well, that was the piece.
45s.
That's what I was asking you earlier. If you had just said, yes, I know this person is a pearl-handled Colt, okay, then I'll shut up.
Yeah. There was also another piece of the question I kind of missed, but I'm pretty sure it was the Olympics, it was the Pancho Villa, and it was the Colt 45. Was there another part of the question that I missed?
No, he's just a World War II general.
Okay.
So
it was a World War II general.
Name your answer.
So I immediately locked in with George S. Patton.
All right. The earlier pieces of it didn't help me anyway, but I did know that Patton was famous for his ivory-handled pistols. I'm pretty sure that specifically they're not mother of pearl; they're ivory.
Right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
my bad. It was ivory. Yeah.
Doesn't matter because we came to the same answer. We locked in with Patton.
Yeah, I was looking through, and of the first modern pentathlon that happened in 1912, every athlete that competed, there were 42 of them. They were all military officers, and he just happened to be the only American. And then he went on to do the expedition, and then became a World War II general, passing away shortly after the end of the war. I'm looking for George S. Patton.
There it is. All right, good job, Michael.
All right, and your last question before the gauntlet category is between a madman and a fire. What Roman emperor was the first to be born outside of Italy? He took over as emperor after Caligula was assassinated and was succeeded by his nephew and adopted stepson Nero. So I'm looking for the emperor who was between the madman and the fire.
Yeah, I just got that reference. That's a very, very good clue. Not clue, but category
name.
Yeah. Quick, guys, name some Roman emperors. I'll go first. Caesar.
I mean, technically.
That's a good one.
Sure, we're locked in.
Okay. So, Michael, I've been to Rome, and I visited a circuit. I think it's Circus Maximus, which is this area of basically grass and ruins that was at one time like the height of the place to be. It's the hoppin' hot spot. And it was built by a guy whose name I cannot get straight in my head. And I was saying Domitian at first, but Domicletian might be the right way to say it. And I can't think if that's his name or if there's another guy, if I'm mixing it up, if I can't say his name right. I know that he was brutal towards Christians in his treatment of Christianity, and it feels right in my mind that this is a person who was succeeded by Nero, who took it to the next level. This all feels like it's the right time period, but I'm afraid that we can answer something that might be close to right and still say it wrong.
Right.
I think Claudius is years later. I think it's like 50 years later. I might be wrong, but I think that's later.
For some reason in my head, I keep thinking Claudius. It's around that era. But if we go with yours, I think the pronunciation is it Diocletian? Diocletius? I keep thinking it's D-I. Diocletian?
I don't know. I don't know.
These are terrific questions. I just...
Domicletian versus Diocletian?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I don't know a Cletian.
Yeah, I haven't had a Cletian to give.
That actually does sound okay. Diocletian, starting to sound like more of a real name.
I like Diocletian.
I do too. And I feel like this person, like the history that they were telling us about, like he built this and it was great, and then he set on fire by Nero a few years later, blah, blah, blah. So it feels like this is all in the first 60 years of the Roman Empire, because Nero was like in 60-something AD. Right. I think Diocletian is a pretty good answer. I don't know if it's right. I hope it's not Claudius, because I would have railroaded you out of it.
Let's put it this way. I don't have enough in my head to make a strong argument for Claudius, other than it is around there. I've a long time ago in a previous life, I read I Claudius, and for some reason, somewhere in there, he figures in between Nero, around the era of Nero and Caligula.
I just if you think that he's the one between them, yeah, if you think he's with them in that era, then that's not a bad answer.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to need an answer.
I don't want to.
But we actually got Diocletian right. We actually got the name Diocletian right, though. So
we don't know. Maybe
so
if you truly think it's Claudius, that he's related to both of those or in that zone, then don't listen to me. You've read a book
there's
on
an
it.
Uncle in there. I don't. I mean, I'm kind of. Let's try Claudius, and then I'll follow my sword.
Oh, sure. No problem.
If it happens, and just
right.
It's roll the die. I mean, we're a few points behind, and this will be either a game changer or we'll get him in the gauntlet.
All right. Well, then we're going to say Claudius.
Okay.
See, Jonathan, I think this is where your position within the company and your status within the podcast may hurt you in some instances. Michael's sitting there going, well, I read a book on it and I am one of the world's leading scholars on it. But if you're against it, then we should probably go in a different direction. So, Ricky, what did we come up with?
So we're the three of us aren't really big ancient Roman Empire historians or anything. So when Nick said just throw out some names of Roman emperors, I threw out Constantine, and that's what we went with.
Plus, he was an excellent superhero.
Constantine was a little bit later, but yeah.
So Diocletian is the correct way to say that name.
Cool. Well, we did get to the right pronunciation. Thank goodness. Maybe I'll remember that next time.
Now is it the right answer?
He was the emperor from 284 to 305. Nero was the emperor between like 37 to 68. Or no, sorry, that's when he was alive. He was the emperor for
it was in the 60s.
54 to 68.
Yeah.
So in the 60s. So the person I'm looking for is Claudius.
Hey, good
job.
Oh, way to go, Michael.
So good job there. And you needed that because at the end of the round, Nick, Ricky, and Derek are still in the lead with 162, but that did bring you a little bit closer. And Jonathan and Michael are now at 145 going into the gauntlet.
It's respectable.
So 162 to 145 going into the gauntlet. And your gauntlet category is Keep On Rockin' Me, Baby.
What was the score again? 162 to 140 what?
145.
Okay. We're locked in. There's a lot of math.
That works, Jonathan.
Our wager is locked in.
All right. Your gauntlet category, Keep On Rockin' Me, Baby. Your first question. The line, Keep On Rockin' Me, Baby, is from a 1976 single, Rockin' Me, by what California rock band?
We can lock in.
Yep, we're locked in.
All right. Your second question. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is set to play what DC villain, nemesis of Shazam, this year?
Once again, Michael, we can lock in there too.
Also locked in.
And your last question. Fraggle Rock was a Jim Henson production that originally ran from 1983 to 1987. Following the success of Fraggle Rock Rock On shorts that aired in 2020, the series has been rebooted and premiered as Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock on what streaming service in January 2022?
Man, Carmela, we were knocking it out of the park on the gauntlet until a second ago. All right, we're locked in.
Michael, I was saying that you're suggesting HBO Max. I know that Fraggle Rock originally aired on HBO, the old time, so 100% on that. The only place where I have concern there is that I have HBO Max, and we've watched a lot of HBO Max over the last 6 months, and I haven't seen a single advertisement for that. But I will tell you this. I haven't
either.
I haven't seen a single advertisement for kids content. And I have a kid's profile for Sebastian, and I know there's a lot of kids' content, but I haven't seen it advertised on my side, so it could be that this is just being categorized in a way that wouldn't present itself to my profile. Okay. You asked about Sesame Street. I do think Sesame Street is on HBO.
Because I think, so Sesame Street is all part of, oh, wait a minute. No, that's right. Sesame Street is part of Disney.
I can guarantee Fraggle Rock is not going on Disney+.
So it's not on Disney Plus.
Because I watch Disney Plus even more than freaking HBO. And I watch a lot more of both of these channels than I've watched TV in 20 years before this.
Yeah. The only other platform I could think of, and I don't watch much of it, despite the fact that I'm cherried out with it, is Apple TV.
I don't know anything about Apple TV. Except for
since, I haven't seen it advertised, so maybe it's Apple TV.
I mean, I worry about the smaller ones like Tubi or Hulu or the Roku channel, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's lots of streaming services now, Paramount or Peacock.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I watch a lot of Paramount and I watch a lot of Hulu and HBO Max. And you're right, Jonathan. I've not seen anything like that on HBO Max. So maybe, I think you've talked me out of HBO.
Have I really?
Yeah.
It could be Apple. I've only logged into Apple once or twice using somebody else's profile.
You're the problem.
No, I did not inhale.
He's the one who's been rearranging your watch list. We are going to need something soon here, guys.
God, you're right. I am going to need something soon. Apple does seem like a premium content service kind of thing. So if you told me that they had Sesame Street and Fraggle Rock, that is legitimately possible. I am worried that we just don't see it on HBO because it's not geared towards our profiles. I don't know, though.
You've talked me out of HBO because I searched that a lot, and I'm pretty convinced that Sesame Street's streaming on HBO, but not this. They would advertise the hell out of it.
I would think.
And they haven't.
Do you want to say Apple Plus or Apple TV or whatever the hell it is?
You want to try? We might as well roll the dice and say Apple.
Fine, we'll just say Apple. We're just naming random fruit that splat when you throw it on the ground.
I was just going to say cranberries.
Hey, I'm sensing a theme here. Random fruit that splats on the ground.
All right. So we're going to go to Apple, right?
Okay.
All right. We're locked in.
Let's go back through and you guys will give me the answers. The line "Keep on Rockin' Me, Baby" is from a 1976 single, "Rockin' Me," by what California rock band? Let's start with Jonathan and Michael.
When you gave that category name, the first thing I sent to Michael was, this is a song by the Steve Miller Band. So that might be part of the category. It could be rocks, rock and roll, and this song. So yeah, I shared that this was Steve Miller Band.
All right. Nick, Derek, and Ricky.
We agree with Steve Miller Band.
All right. Your second question, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is set to play what DC villain, the nemesis of Shazam, later this year? Let's go with Nick, Derek, and Ricky.
We pretty much all consecutively typed Black Adam in the chat at the same time. I think Black Adam is a pretty solid consensus.
All right. Jonathan and Michael.
Go ahead, Michael.
Jonathan. It was all Jonathan. It's Black Adam.
I do love that Gomer Pyle used to say Shazam and have nothing to do with the actual comic book character named Shazam. Yeah. It always tickles me.
Golly.
Fraggle Rock was a Jim Henson production that originally ran from 1983 to 1987. Following the success of the Fraggle Rock Rock On shorts that aired in 2020, the series has been rebooted and premiered as Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock on what streaming service in January 2022? Jonathan and Michael.
We said Apple after much discussion and prayer.
All right. Nick, Derek, and Ricky.
So we went through all of the services, just like Jonathan and Michael did. The one thing that we were fairly certain on was that none of us had seen advertising for any of this. I did know that Sesame Street is on HBO Max because HBO basically started funding Sesame Street. And while it is still released for free on PBS, you get it like a week early on HBO if you want the episode of Sesame Street a week early. And then at the end of the week, they put it on its normal time on PBS. So we figured with the Sesame Street tie-in, the Jim Henson tie-in, plus I just was now thinking that because HBO is Game of Thrones, the Back to the Rock, having them go to Casterly Rock would seem like an awesome tie-in for Fraggle Rock.
Yeah,
a very different show.
It could have been a tie-in from Come From Away, too, so maybe it's Broadway.
It's entirely different, yeah. But so yeah, we ended up with HBO or HBO Max.
Now that I've said that, I absolutely want to see the Fraggle Rock crew do "Welcome to the Rock" from Come From Away as a music video. It would be tremendous.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
All right, let's go through and see what the answers are. "Keep on Rockin' Me, Baby" is from the song "Rockin' Me" by Steve Miller Band. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is set to play Black Adam in the movie Black Adam. And the Fraggle Rock reboot, I love HBO Max. Something I've been watching more often. If you haven't seen Our Flag Means Death yet, you should definitely watch that show. It's fantastic. But unfortunately, it is not on HBO Max. It is on Apple TV Plus.
The thought process that is, well, I have most of the streaming services and I haven't seen anything about it, and I have most of the streaming services and I haven't seen anything about it. So let's pick the one neither one of us have and go with that.
Hey, sometimes the best knowledge is the knowledge of what you don't know.
Absolutely. Proving a negative.
Wow, Michael.
But isn't that Jonathan? Isn't that what Jonathan is, a verb? We pull a Jonathan, and
that was definitely pulling a Jonathan right there.
I'm not going to argue. I'm a little sore.
All right, so that means that Jonathan and Michael
from throwing all that fruit.
Got the gauntlet correct. Unfortunately, Ricky, Derek, and Nick got it incorrect. So let's find out what the wagers are. Who do you want to start with, Jonathan?
Might as well start with them.
All right, Nick, Ricky, and Derek, what do we got?
So we discussed betting it all, and then we started having a discussion about how we did during different hosts and their versions of the gauntlet, to which all three of us said it's a Carmela gauntlet. We're like 1 for 65 on these. And with the simple adage of winners bet zero, we ended up going 0.
Wow. So you still have a lead until we give our number, and we'll either have a lead or not. But
yes, that's the way math works, Jonathan. Correct.
You will finish with 162, which is a fantastic score. Jonathan and Michael.
It was the best wager you could have made, knowing what you were going to do. But we decided to be more aggressive than 0. We bet 110 points.
100.
Wow. You will finish with 255.
That is correct. We were going for the concept of if you guys bet to lock us out and miss it, you'll finish with 33. So we want to bet a high number that does not put us below 33.
Yep.
Frankly, you were a great team, and we just thought maybe you were going to get it.
Well, I think the problem is that we all have Apple TV.
So with a score of 255 to 162, Jonathan and Michael are your winners today.
Good game, everybody. Good game. Congrats. Really great. What a competition. All right, well, before we go, we'd like to give everybody a chance to do shout-outs and promote causes they care about. We like to start with our winning team. So, Michael, you get to go first.
Well, I'm a proud Patreon, and I want to echo with what Nick says. The shout-out to a friend of mine named John Craig, who turned me on to you a couple years ago just before the pandemic to get me through. And with your inclusive culture and getting to know, the 4 hosts and everything, just thank you. And thank you for creating a place where a lot of us can go to be ourselves. And we're very, very grateful to the 4 of you for just being here and being present with us. And in that sort of vein, one cause that I wouldn't mind bringing up is a nonprofit organization called Rachel's Challenge. They're a nonprofit organization that helps kids in the middle and high schools get through life in terms of there's a lot of high school bullying and things like that, and there's some programming that this nonprofit does that gets kids through that basically says, look, it gets better. And we're just a proud Patreon of that too. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate the kind words for sure. All right, we will go over to Ricky.
Well, first of all, I'm just excited to be on here. Been listening to you guys for quite a while, and I agree with everything Michael said about this podcast. You guys are doing a great job. And, you know, from the pandemic standpoint, I totally agree. It was a very big escape for me personally. So my siblings and I are on the unlucky few that actually lost both parents to COVID. So something like this format was very, very useful for me to get through that, and I really appreciate it. I was telling myself I wouldn't get choked up. Anyway, the good thing is, because both of my parents were very believed in the volunteer spirit. My mom was a elementary school teacher in inner city Memphis for 34 years. And my dad was a volunteer sports coach who both together then became dance grandparents with my nieces. So after they passed, my sister and brother and I decided to start a memorial fund in their honor. Sorry. And what it does is we were able to do 3 scholarships last year for students. We picked the 3 areas they really cared about. So we chose a student from the neighborhood of my mom's elementary school that showed that they had the ability to get outside of very tough situations to qualify academically for college. And we really wanted to give them a chance to have a little extra money going into college. And then both my parents were very involved in our high school, local high school, the football booster program from when I was a freshman. So my mom actually was on the board of that for almost 30 years. And so we chose to give a scholarship to one of the football players that wasn't going into college with a full ride or anything. So it was just a student that really kind of showed the scholastic ability to get in. And then we also chose to choose a dance student who really gave a lot of their time to dance and learning the skill of dancing. So last year we were able to do that and give 3 different scholarships out, and we're still doing that. We're trying to do that every year. So our fund is called the Bretherick Memorial Fund, and in honor of my parents. So that is something personal for me, which we have a website, which is bretherickmemorialfund.com. And we want to just keep giving back to those 3 groups of students going forward. And last year we were able to give 3 $3,000 scholarships. So it was really kind of a cool thing to be able to, my brother and I, my sister wasn't available, so he and I called up each winner after they submitted their application or their, we had them do a video and kind of write something personal. And so after doing that, we called up each one of them and told them they won. And it was just kind of fun getting to hear people that are 17 and 18 really excited about winning a scholarship to help them out. So that's my personal side of things. And I really appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity to talk about it.
That is 4 or 5 minutes of some of the best audio we've ever had on this show right there. We are so sorry for your loss, but I think that it would be wonderful to find out that people in the Trivial Warfare community supported the Bretherick Memorial Fund. And Bretherick, for what it's worth, could you spell your last name for us on the air so that people will know where to go?
Well, thanks, Nick. He just showed me that he already donated. So it's B as in boy, R-E, T as in Tom, H-E-R-I-C-K, memorialfund.com.
I love it.
So that's it.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
And then I am going to put Nick in the unenviable spot of going next. to promote business stuff so that I don't do it to Derek.
You know what? That's probably a good call. So yeah, following that up with whatever the hell I'm going to say, I think the easiest thing to promote is TriviaMatic, which you can play along with this show and all of the Trivial Warfare shows here in the future. Go to the App Store, download the app called TriviaMatic, click on the Play Now button when you have that, and enter in the event code that Jonathan gave you at the top of this show. And that'll take you right into all the questions from tonight, where you can type in your answers and play along with everybody and see how you're doing on the scoreboard. If you're still listening to the show at this point, don't worry about where our score went. It's fine.
All right. Thank you, Nick. And then Derek, we'll wrap up with you.
Well, my heart goes out to you, Ricky, because I also lost a parent last year, so I know that's not the most fun thing to go through. And my wallet also goes out to you as well. Got that donation in there. Hopefully, we get a lot of people following suit on that. But the cause that I was going to kind of shout out today, they're having an event in Kansas City right now called the Kansas City Parade of Hearts, which is really cool. It's 154 hearts scattered across the metropolitan area that have all been designed and decorated by different local artists. My girlfriend and I have been having a ton of fun going around, finding them, admiring all the cool things that people have been doing with just this heart shape and seeing what they do to express themselves with that. So I was just going to say, locate and support your local artists, because there's a lot of great communities out there and they do a lot of good things. So
love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you. And that is going to wrap up what has been an absolutely tremendous episode of Trivial Warfare. Absolutely tremendous. So for Ricky, for Michael, for Derek, for Nick, and Carmela, I'm Jonathan. This has been episode number 372 of Trivial Warfare, where it's not just trivia, it's war. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Trivial Warfare. Be sure to check out the revamped TrivialWarfare.com as your one-stop shop to submit questions, join the community, and get access to over 150 archived episodes. Warm It Up was written and performed by Matthew Stevens. This episode was edited and produced by me, Joel Sharpton. For help with your podcast, visit ProPodcastingServices.com.